Yes, Lisa Dysel. I'm from the Unisa Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. A very warm welcome to all of you who've chosen to join us this afternoon for our career talk on designing your CV for recruiters and algorithms. We are very excited to welcome our speaker from Pnet, Roxanne Clark. She will be formally introduced to you shortly. Before we start with our program this afternoon, just a couple of announcements. You will notice that your camera and your microphones are currently disabled. We will enable these during the event, but then especially during the Q&A session where you would be able to ask your questions live. We do encourage you that as you are listening to the presentation, please post any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A in Teams. We will also attend to those questions during the Q&A session after the presentation. We just ask that you don't share any personal information, that is your personal email address or your telephone number in the chat or the Q&A, just to protect your privacy. We are recording the session, and once this live session is finished, you will get a notification in the Teams chat for this meeting that the recording is available. We will also post it on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to access it there. I will share the link with you at the end of the session. So without further ado, let's go on to our program. I am not alone here from the Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. I also have my colleagues, Mrs. Mandu Makanya, as well as Mr. Beki Mzobe. So I'm going to invite Mrs. Makanya now, if you could please introduce our speaker to us. Thank you, Mandu.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to our guests from Pnet. It gives me pleasure this morning, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our speaker for the day. She is a Senior Business Associate, Corporate at Pnet, part of the global Stepstone Group. She works closely with some of South Africa's largest organizations, helping them solve complex talent acquisition challenges through data-driven recruitment strategies, market insights, and innovative sourcing solutions. With extensive experience in the South African recruitment market, our speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is partners with corporate HR and talent acquisition teams to understand hiring trends, candidate behavior, and skills shortages across industries. Her work focuses on helping businesses attract the right talent by leveraging recruitment technology, labor market analytics, and strategic employer branding. Our speaker is passionate about helping organizations make better hiring decisions and empowering professionals to understand how recruitment platforms, digital tools, and evolving market dynamics shape career opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome with a loud round of applause to our virtual stage, Miss Roxanne Clark. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Makanya. Roxanne, you're welcome to share and go ahead.
Good morning. That's a lot of round of applauses. I feel like standing up and taking a bow already. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So just so you know, I have dealt, as mentioned, with some of the top corporates in South Africa. And the biggest issue facing talent in South Africa at the moment are applicant tracking systems, job portals, and where we load our CVs not often reflective to what a company is searching for, right? So a lot of career seekers are uploading CVs onto systems or applying to job portals, and they are not being seen by recruiters simply by misaligning what they've got on paper. Well, it's not paper anymore, let's say digital, and what the recruiter or the organization is looking for. So there's two issues that we face. Recruiters and companies are using internal jargon words that are not aligning or mapping to what career seekers or standard career seekers are doing. And then our career seekers themselves are not giving themselves the best opportunity on our systems to find the proper jobs as well. Okay, so today I'm going to show you what it looks like when a recruiter searches for your CV. I'm going to give you some key things that you need to understand and look out for to give you the best possible opportunity to beat all the other career seekers and go to the top of that recruiter's search or advertisement application. Okay. So if that sounds good, you can give me a thumbs up. I'm going to check we're all awake still. Good. Okay. So as you guys know, Pnet is the busiest platform in South Africa where we look for work, where people go and look for work. And I deal with some of the large corporates. So this is people with 1,000, 5,000 employees. Some of my top clients are Capitec and FirstRand, Old Mutual. So I'm dealing with some of the largest corporates. And I can tell you guys firsthand that when they do their searches, they're missing skills. Okay, so this is our platform. You guys will see when you go to pnet.co.za that there is two ways to sign in. There's a recruiter sign in, and there's your sign in as what we'd call it eventually a career seeker. Okay. So I'm going to log in as a recruiter, and I want to show you a prime example of what would happen on my back end. And by the way, we service recruitment agencies and we service corporate companies. So we will help a recruitment agency to make a placement within a corporate company as well. And they're using the same thing around how you would search for you as a career seeker. Okay. So when I log into my system, I can then go and search our database. So Pnet is sitting with over 8 million career seekers, guys, 8 million career seekers. Now, this is accessible data to all my clients. Let's take Eskom, for example. Eskom can sometimes on one application get 18,500 applications. So how do we make sure that our clients are getting to the right skill? Okay, just to prove my point, I'm going to put in Johannesburg, and I want to show you in the last 6 months, in Johannesburg alone, people that live within a 25-kilometer radius of Johannesburg, 291,738 people looking for work, right? It's a lot. Imagine being a recruiter and sifting through all of that. It's a lot of stuff. So let's start our search. So I want to take a position, okay? And I want to say, I'm at one of the banks. Okay, let's take a bank, for example, and I'm looking for a developer. Okay, let's use a developer as an example. Now, this is where the biggest problem comes into play, is that people are using a job title, often not known in the industry. Okay, so as an example, I had one of the major banks email me this morning, and they were looking for what we call a very, very scarce skill. And they're trying to understand why they're not finding the skill. So they called it an AB initio skill, right? So it's typically like an engineer, but it's more like the skill that they need, not the job title. So what do you think my client did this morning? Prime example, they came here and they went to a standard search and they typed in the word AB initio. Guys, is this a proper job title in South Africa? This is not a trick question. I'll tell you, they do have them. They do have them, right? 2 people active. Can you see that? Only 2 people active. But if I look at the word itself within a candidate CV, did you see those 2 candidates? My only 2 candidates that will now get a chance at this bank, right? But how many people actually have this word inside the bulk of their CV, not just in a job title? 164. I'm telling you now that 162 people just missed an opportunity to get a job. Okay. I see there are quite a few questions in the chat. Do we want to, I don't mind keeping it interactive and asking questions as we go. Or do we want to wait till the end? How do you guys want to manage that process?
Roxanne, it's really up to you if you don't mind being
100%.
sidetracked.
No, we can keep it interactive.
Okay. There was just a question about which agencies are you talking about. Another participant, or Michelle, answered the question. There's a explanation of what the agencies that you mentioned. Then there was just a question or a comment about nobody uses LinkedIn and Indeed anymore. So maybe just to clarify is that you are using Pnet as the platform to illustrate, but I guess these principles that you're talking about today would also be applicable for recruiters and companies that are using LinkedIn and Indeed to recruit people. Am I right?
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Prudence, sorry, the last one for now before you proceed, but I think you are going to cover it a bit later. AI to tailor CVs, does it always work? Because we try to match the CVs and cover letters according to the job description, but getting an interview gets harder and harder every day. Yeah.
I'm going to, Prudence, I'm going to give you the commands to put your CV into AI and what you need to tell AI to write your CVs for the best match, okay? So we will absolutely get into that. So recruitment agencies, just to answer that as well, the last time I did this analysis about 3 years ago, recruitment agencies, their governing body, APSO, that means they're a proper recruitment agency registered with APSO. Actually, we had about 78% of recruitment agencies signed up with us. It's a huge part of where they're sourcing. They don't just source on Pnet, they're using other mediums too, but recruitment agencies are a big bulk of our clients. Okay, good. So guys, just to cover this again, what I'm showing you now is how a recruiter thinks and where people are missing the mark. And this is a prime example of how 162 people just missed out because a recruiter didn't quite put in or elaborate the words to match with the right skills. Okay, so what does that mean for you, right? Is that applicant tracking systems, so these are systems where you will see on company sites, sometimes you'll apply on Pnet and you'll be redirected to another company site. Then they're using AI, screening, filtering, questionnaires, etc., that they will use to filter you out. Okay, but searching and advert mapping is the biggest ways that you'll be targeted, right? And I'm going to explain when I go to load the CV part, what you need to look out for also for the advertisements. So from a search on the database, you can already see the misalignment. So when a listing or an advert goes out to the market, the same thing can apply from all portals, that if they don't put the right job title in, you will often be missed. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is if I go and have a look, for example, at all my filters, these are the filters they're going to use. Now, if you don't have work experience and they're looking for 5+ years work experience, please do not lie and say that I have 5 years experience, or do not lie and say I have X amount of qualifications, right? Why not? Because one, it's obviously dishonest, so we shouldn't be doing that. But number two is that I can come here, I can make a note on your profile that everybody in my organization can now see that you have done something that they do not like in terms of what you've said on your CV. Maybe they had to call you, you went right up to an interview, you wasted their time, and now you've got like a black mark on your name within that organization. Okay, the same thing applies when you're going to their site and that you're applying into their applicant tracking systems as well. Okay. Nondumiso, that's not true about listing your skills. And when I talk about skills, I'm not talking about, for this guy particularly, you know that AB initio is one of the skills that he needs. Skills like works well with others, please, we don't want that skill, okay, on the CVs. Right. So other filters that they will use is they will look at salary ranges, right? So I said on my dummy CV that I want to earn 2 million plus, don't we all, right? But what happens if I'm only looking for people within a salary bracket of 400 and 600,000 Rand? I'm gone. So another thing that career seekers do is they inflate the salary and then they get filtered out because people think that they're too expensive, okay, because they've gone and inflated their salaries. So that's another thing that we use to be able to filter. Age, we can filter by age. Again, you can't lie about your age. Availability, when you can start work. Your citizenship type. So we're looking at South African citizens, non-South African, non-SA with work permits. Disability, employment equity, ethnicity, gender, highest qualification, languages. Guys, if you're in the process of concluding your honors at the end of 2026, please do not put yourself down as you have your honors. Okay. I see a hand up.
I think, Roseanne, what we will do is with the hands up, I think let's move on with your presentation. But there will definitely be time to answer the questions. Thank you very much.
Perfect, no problem. Okay. What languages you speak, listing functions, so don't worry about that. And what sector you're in, are you willing to relocate, work type, and then the year you obtained your qualification. So if they're looking to obtain their honors in 2025, then you will use that. Do you guys see how we filter? Does it make sense? Right? Now take a look at this. I'm looking immediately at people who were active in the last 6 months. I can also look at people who were active in the last 3 months, the last 1 month. Do you guys see that? So if you just come in and register your CV and then you disappear for 7 months and you don't remain active, what do you think is going to happen to you? You're not going to be marketable, right? You're going to disappear. Down the list you're going to go. So remaining active is also important, because why would a recruiter only look at active people? Means they're good to go. They don't have to waste their time and say, hi, are you available? And they say, no, sorry, I've just found another job, or I'm not in the market. They want active skills. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at the actual CV itself. Now, do you notice that this person remains anonymous? Okay. This is the credit model that we sell to our companies. They're going to pay to click here and unlock your CV. So what do they see on the front cover? They see your ethnicity, disability, your South African citizenship type. They see that your current role, your next role, right? Now, what we ask on registration processes is for this work experience detail here. So if you have any work experience, someone said that they shadowed someone at a magistrate court, I must absolutely say that, yeah, right? This is not pulled from your CV, guys. You have to manually do this on the registration process. And if you are lazy and you do not put this here and you just expect that they're going to open your CV, they don't. All right. So if you want to keep the bulk of your information in your CV and not add it here on the manual input of the registration, then you will not be viewed properly. Do you see this? Here's the skills that we spoke about. Somebody said that they don't need to put in their skills. Guys, they absolutely do. Here's your highest qualification being shown, your preferences. So I'll prefer to work in Johannesburg, my availability 1 month, and then all the other preferred roles that she's looking for. Now, do you see my keyword that I put in on the side is now appearing in the CV, right? And this is where AI is really going to help you guys. So let me give you an example. What happens when I put the word, and just do a Boolean string, don't worry about the language I'm using, a BCom, B space com. So I filled in my CV, B space com, right? What about, see there's 2,078 candidates, okay? What about B.com? What about, let's do B space com again. What about, I don't know, Bizcom? Do you guys see all the, I don't know if people really do write this, career seekers do some strange things. Do you guys see all the naming conventions that I'm talking about here? Do you see that? So we went from 2,000 career seekers to 7,558. What happens if you just wrote BCom on your CV? We've missed the bus, right? So the keywords are also going to be super important, because look what happens here now. Can you see that the recruiter can see in your CV the word, the particular word that they're looking for? Do you see that? Okay. Right. The next one is your actual CV. So let's go back and let's go just do this again. So what happens now is if somebody, sorry, let me just do this. I want to narrow it down a bit. Okay. So I can see this person at C#, they're a junior developer at personnel, and now I want to unlock and see the rest of their information. What do they see, right? So let me open up the profile and let me give you an overview of what they see. So this is the important stuff. Can you see the age, ethnicity, all of that? Can you see the primary document, other documents? Can you guys see that? Now, what this person does is a prime example of what's very annoying for a recruiter. They've put 2 PDFs. Now, which one? You got a CV, right? And then you've got a CV. So now which one's the right CV? I'm just going to open this one. I'm not going to bother to look at another one. If I have to sift through 1,000 candidates, what do you think I'm going to do? Right? Okay. Again, here's my total overview of my experience. So this guy says he's been here for 3 years. But what about all these other jobs that he's done? Let me go and see if this is a good example. Okay, so on the CV, sometimes we see that they've actually got 20 years of jobs that they did, but they haven't put it here. Again, you might miss the mark, right? I can see all their education, where they've had their education, their motivation. Okay. Do you know how many times I get a call from my recruiters that they cannot reach a candidate for a job? Guys, I promise you it happens to me daily, and I'm working with amazing companies. Some people would love to work with these organizations that I deal with, and they can't get hold of them because the cell phone number here and the email address here is incorrect. Again, sometimes they don't even open the CV. They want to phone you directly from here. And guess what? The email address and the cell phone is incorrect. Again, all of this data you asked to fill in when you first register. They do not open every single CV. It takes too long. You need to do as much as you can on this part here to be seen and to be heard. Okay. Sometimes I can even email the candidate from the Pnet system, right? So what happens here is it says, let's say it says Discovery wants to contact you, or Capitec wants to contact you, something like this. And then they say, hi, please let me know if you're in the market or whatever. Okay. This email then goes to where? Some people have it in their junk folder. This is a Pnet system generated email. So you need to check your private emails. Okay. Another helpful thing, guys, to do is to download the Pnet app. There's an app that you can also download that will help you with all of this. Okay. Do you understand what recruiters go through sometimes when they're filtering? The same thing applies when you apply to a listing, very similar, except a listing will also have a screening and filtering questionnaire. So sometimes they're going to ask you, what is your highest qualification? And it will say matric, certificate, diploma, honors, and then you have to choose the correct answers, and then you will be scored out of 1% in accordance to how you answered that. So if you do not have an honors and you say you have an honors, what happens if you waste that recruiter's time? They will blacklist you. You will not be able to get a job in that company. So please make sure that you are doing this correctly. Okay. Shailene, yes. Sometimes it might tell you that you are missing information. I'm going to try do a registration from scratch, guys. I'm out of emails. I'm going to try, and then I'll just go to my profile if we are not able to do it as such. If you are struggling, there are support buttons on Pnet as well where you can contact the support team. Okay. Are we all good? Okay. Right. Let me get out of this view and go here. Now, I'm not going to click on for recruiters, right? Sorry, by the way, get the Pnet job app. There's the barcode if you go to pnet.co.za, so you can just scan that. Let's go and register. Make sure your password has 8 characters. Okay, welcome on board. Upload a CV. Guys, it will take a Word document and it will take a PDF. Can I tell you that a Word document is better? And let me explain why. Number one, recruitment agencies will sometimes add something to your CV, maybe fix a word or two, to be able to then send it on to their clients. So that's good, they can edit it. But also, if I download a Word document, I can immediately share it from Word. If it's a PDF, I have to save you, go find you from a folder, and then move you forward from there. So personally, a lot of my recruiters do prefer a Word document. Okay. So yeah, I have my CV, alternative CV, supporting documents. So yeah, you can have your qualifications. You can have your I don't know, your driver's license, all of that type of stuff. Okay, so that's under my documents. Under what I bring to the job. Do you guys remember the work experience I told you about, right? So some people will say I am business associates, Pnet. I started 2013. And I currently work here. And that's it. That's where they stop. They don't go to do the job description. They don't do anything, right? They don't go and fill all of this in. Remember all of that I told you about, right? Remember the salary, right? What I told you about your salary, your notice period, your education, your driver's license, your skills, your languages. So this is the manual part of okay, all your education. I know it's in your CV, but you guys see this. You see what I'm talking about, right? Okay, skills, sales, selling experience, English proficient. Okay, easy peasy. How long did that take me? 3 minutes. What I'm looking for. Now, this is going to also help you with your job alerts, okay? So we need to know what you are looking for in terms of a job. So, for example, sales manager role, and then senior, head of, do you guys see all the other naming conventions? Job location, so where would I like to work? I'm willing to relocate. My desired salary. I don't mind working full-time, part-time, permanent roles. I'll do all of the above. I can partially remote, fully remote, or no remote work. Okay. So now look at this. Do you see this important button here on the left-hand side? It says not open to work. Oh my word. Recruiters can't view your profile and you'll miss out on jobs that aren't advertised publicly. What I want to do is mark myself as open to work. My profile's not complete. Guys, I'm not going to complete my profile today. I've got 60,000 of these on Pnet. Okay. So please make sure after this process that you are open to work. Now, under the notification settings, you want to create job alerts as well. So when somebody advertises for a role, you can also then go and see those adverts coming into your inbox. Okay. You want to see how many times. You can also manage all of these things as well. So how often you want, tell us when there's new updates or whatever it is from the organization. You need to go to your profile and update your notifications. Okay. Now, under your account settings, guys, allow Pnet to propose you as a top match. Yes. Allow recruiters to see your application history. Yes, you can do that as well. Do you see all the buttons that people forget to go and push? You need to go into your profile and you need to make sure you go to your profile and conclude everything over here. Okay. Put your photo, add your location, add your phone number. Someone mentioned that they filled in everything, but they weren't going through. But you can see my current job title has not been done. My location is not done and my cell phone number hasn't been done. So I need to edit the left-hand side. Can you see all of this stuff here? And I need to enter the right-hand side. It doesn't always show everything 100%, because can you see on the left-hand side, it's not actually showing me 100% that I'm missing stuff. But if you click the edit button, you see everything that needs to appear that we need to then go and fill in. Does that make sense? Okay, I want to pause quickly. Michelle and team, did we have any questions that I need to answer from this particular section?
Roxanne, I see that Michelle has posted some answers to the questions.
Okay.
I think maybe just a question that I think could be important to address is if you are somebody that doesn't have work experience, what would you actually list under work experience? And in addition to that, how do you go about identifying then the skills that you would want to list on your profile or on your CV then?
Okay, so that's kind of a twofold thing. So skills and experience is for recruiters to look for people who have experience and have skills. Okay, so if I'm looking for graduates, for example, I will not be using the skills button. So you can leave it as 0 to 2. However, I waitressed when I was 18 years old, for example, and I put that in under my sales ability. I see somebody did some shadowing. So there's some, sorry, is someone saying something?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to jump in here. It's Michelle. Yes. I have shared some links in the chat as well. We've got what we call PSA, public service announcement short video clips, 60 to 90 seconds long. And I have shared those clips in the chat around the importance of skills. So what Roxanne's talking to now is transferable skills, because everybody will have some sort of soft skills or informal work experience and skills that they can take into a role. So even if you're a graduate, go and add those skills to your profile, add them into your CV. It will most likely be soft skills like, communication or project management or, a good collaborator, something like that. So there is some information there as well as in our grad pack. I've included the download for that link as well. So I just wanted to touch on that because you were jumping into transferable skills, which I think is very important for graduates.
Thanks, Mish.
Cool.
Okay. Good. Now, you might have to do this on 30 to 40 different platforms every time you apply to a job. But what my clients often say is if you don't bother to fill in all the information, it already shows that you're not as interested. Okay. Good. So, Caitlin, you're asking, even if it was for a month, you can go and update your CV as many times as you like to keep it relevant. I'm not sure if you'd update it every month unless something had changed, but yeah, you can go and update your profile as much as you like. Okay, good.
Roxanne, before you
yes.
continue, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
You were still talking about the which work experience you would list if you don't have any formal work experience. So I'm wondering if there are examples of other opportunities that you've had that you can list there that is not necessarily full-time or part-time employment. So I'm thinking about things such as volunteer work, for example.
So I think
answer
Michelle,
this one if you want, Rox.
Yeah. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry.
I was going to say, no, go for it, Mish. You go.
Yeah, it's just something that we do often share. So, Lisa, you've mentioned volunteer work, which absolutely that's one of the areas. Basically, anything. It doesn't have to be paid for work, and it can definitely be informal work. So, anywhere where you can demonstrate to a potential employer that you have been in kind of a makeshift work environment where you're either taking instructions or executing brilliantly, that where you're able to apply those skills can serve as work experience. So it could be volunteer work, it could be charity work that you're doing through the church, it could be babysitting or dog walking, anything, absolutely anything that demonstrates that you are kind of collaborating or working with teams. So get creative, especially as graduates entering the world of work. Get creative. It doesn't have to be work that is directly related. So if you're waitressing, put that down, because you will learn skills and you will have transferable skills from that experience. Obviously, when you fire 4 or 5 roles into your career and you're applying for to be promoted from, I don't know, something to a business analyst, by that stage your waitressing work experience is not relevant. So you'll just then talk to your formal career work experience. But in the beginning, absolutely anything that replicates the function of working, put it in there.
I guess also, Roxanne and Michelle, there was a question now about if you've been running a small business, for example, as an owner or founder, that would also be a work experience that you can list.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely beautiful. That's got so many skills linked to it. It's leadership, guidance. If you're working with other people in that business, it's mentorship, it's planning, I would hope. If you're running your own business, absolutely brilliant example. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone just asked a question. So we must edit our CV for every job application. In an ideal world, guys, I'm going to say yes, like especially if you know this is the one for you. However, not always possible. Currently on the interwebs, what do we have? Like 30, 40,000 jobs in Gauteng alone that are live at the moment. So how do we manage that? So I'm going to show you something now that could possibly assist with making sure that all the right words are on your CV without being dishonest. Okay, without being dishonest on your CV. So I've got a client example or a candidate example that we did today. Okay, so I'm just going to share, and she has allowed for me to share this in the session today. Sorry, I just want to quickly open this up. I'll be with you in 2 seconds. And then I'm going to tell you the commands that you'll put into your AI engine, and you can use any of them. The one that I am using is Claude, just because sometimes it makes the CV a little bit prettier. Okay, so ChatGPT doesn't always make a CV prettier. So look at this. Okay, this was the client's CV before. Okay, this was my client's CV. Sorry, I'm trying to open this up. After. So here's some key things. Her executive summary. We're selling her to her role. Do you see that when she said, she first on her first CV said union negotiations? Yeah, it's naming all the unions. Why? Because if someone says, I'm looking for an HR executive, right? And then they say, I need someone who's done NUM negotiations. What happens if she just wrote union negotiations? Do you guys see this, right? Okay. Now, this is her core competencies. She never had all of these words in here before. For example, she said HR systems. But the key HR systems that people look for are SAP, VIP, JD, ESS, and TM1 in her industry. She didn't write the types of HR systems. All she wrote was HR systems. Why? Because what if somebody says, I want someone who's proficient in SAP, and they write the word SAP, and she wrote the word HR systems? Are you guys getting my point here? Do you understand where I'm going with this? Okay. The next one is her key areas of work experience. You will see her most current employment is at the top, not at the bottom of her CV. So we changed that around. And then I also put under here professional registrations and accreditations, HR systems and technologies. Again, look at this, ESS. But I also put the word employee self-service. Because what if somebody puts in employee self-service and not the word ESS? Are you guys getting the gist of what I'm saying to you? Okay, so I'm going to show you how you would do this on any system. I copy the whole CV. I go Control-Alt, copy. I put it in my whatever, Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, and you don't need to pay any of these things to do this. And I give it a few commands, right? So the first thing I say is create a CV that sells me. I need to be discovered on portals and ATS systems, right? I also need words. What is SEO? Search engine optimized words. Okay. Do you hear that? So most of it is SEO words. Okay. Use all words South African recruiters will use to source my CV. And then I just go Control V, paste the whole thing in, and go. So the command that I used, I'm pasting in the chat now. You guys can use the same command on any provider, and it will help you. So instead of having to change your CV, like you guys said, for every single advert, it's going to elaborate your CV to make sure that you are being most discoverable. Does that make sense, guys? Easy peasy. And that is everything. That's absolutely everything. If you want to open up, I'm using Claude. Okay, but you can use anything. Are there any questions? I see someone's got their hand up. Darren.
Before I go to the hands, Roxanne, I just want to ask you, the example that you showed now, the person already has a CV. So in the case of where you don't have a CV yet, what would your recommendation be in terms of where do you start?
Okay, I would go to Claude and I'd say, create a CV, and I would list absolutely everything in my profile that I've done, where I've volunteered, if I've done any projects, done any school or varsity level achievements. List every single thing that you can think of, what you're currently studying. When will you conclude your current studies? List everything, and then you still use the same prompt that I gave above to create your CV. And it will write a full CV for you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now. I'm wondering. I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot, but would it be possible for you to show us, you know, what that might look like in Claude 10, for example?
Can I have a volunteer, please? Let's use a live example. Who's going to volunteer?
So anybody who would want us to do your CV live, you can put up your hand.
Who came first? Let me just see this. I'll tell you now. People. So it's telling me, Matilda, you had your hand raised first. Matilda,
yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Roxanne. Okay, what do you need my CV?
Right. Create a CV for Matilda. Spell the rest of your surname for me, please.
Bekaaardt.
Okay. I'm not going to put your cell phone number for real. I'm just going to make up something.
Okay.
Okay, because we can't do that here. I'm going to say email at whatever.com. Yeah.
Can I give you just a quick little background, because I've been sitting with this for quite some time. Can I give you that?
Sorry, who's I'm not sure who's speaking.
It's Matilda. It's Matilda, Roxanne.
Yes, I'm going to get to that. Just give me one sec. Okay. I just want to put the important stuff first, and then I'm going to ask you for the rest. So it's important that everybody understands the urgent steps, which is your name, your cell phone number, email address. Remember, because if we don't have that updated, they can't get hold of you. Okay. And sometimes I even want maybe another contact number that if they can't reach you, they can get you on, right? It's important that we have that. Okay. Matilda, good. Let's go. Let's start off. Can I ask you to first start off with your qualifications?
All right. My highest qualification is in honours. I'm busy doing my master's degree last year, the final year.
Current education. When do you finish your master's?
Master's December 2026.
Okay, good. Right. You obviously have a matric. I know it's silly, but you need to put it there. Trust me. Okay.
Okay, good.
Anything else around certifications? Yes.
Okay. So I've got, after the matric, I've got a national diploma. I also have a BCom marketing degree, plus the BCom honors business management. And now it's the MCom masters. I've got MCom, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Good. I've got other certification. I've got the management development program, MDP, through Stellenbosch University.
I'm not even spelling properly, guys. It's made me very lazy, this thing. Sorry, but just carry on.
Okay, I've got the MDP. I've got the property development and investment through UCT. Yeah. Negotiation skills through the business school, Stellenbosch University. It's in collaboration with Cranfield School of Management, UK.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that out for now because it's a lot. This will give you the gist of it. Okay.
Sure. Leadership development through the CHEC, which is that Higher Education Consortium. That's the certification. And then I just recently did the AI course through the IMP or the PMI, Project Management Institution. That's a certificate. Yeah. Should I say that I'm in the process actually of doing my project management professional?
Absolutely. Okay. When will you finish?
That takes about 6 months.
So what's that? Let's say
it's project management professionals, highly sought after, I think, worldwide. I see it a lot in South Africa as well.
Concluded by what month? Let's say month and a date. Should we say?
Okay. I'm not sure because now I've got my studies and it's sort of, you know, like a sort of a speed hump at the moment.
Okay.
Not sure.
2026. I'm just going to say. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Experience. Where have you worked?
Okay, now the experience part, this is what I wanted to ask you. I've got so many companies, Roxanne, that it takes up a lot of space in my CV. Okay, so I stopped in 2023 working at Stellenbosch University for 17 years.
Sorry, you did what for 17 years?
I did residential and commercial property. I was sort of a senior commercial person there.
Okay.
Now, I also don't have proper designations, you know, it's like all senior something, while they say management. Okay. Then I've got, I just want to go there.
We need a job title, yeah? Any job title. I'm going to ask you just for 2, okay? Because of time constraints. So give me a job title, yeah? And the months or the years there.
Senior commercial, what do they call it? Senior commercial
manager.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Okay, let's just say that. And date?
2018 to 2023. But it's all with one institution, eh? It's about 17 years with 4 different. Okay. Then it is
who is the institute?
Stellenbosch University.
Okay.
Next
can
one.
Can I take just this for now? Can I take this for now? Okay.
Sure.
I just want to quickly go back to my prompt that I gave you guys earlier. Okay. I put in my prompt here. Guys, it's made me so lazy. I don't even try bother to spell anymore. I just know it's going to automatically assume and read it. It's terrible. But okay, now let me build this powerful ATS optimized CV for Matilda.
Roxanne, while we were waiting for Claude to sing, the example of the CV that you shared with us previously, would that be an example of an ATS optimized CV or not?
What I'm showing you today is not only ATS optimized, it's for job boards, it's for ATS, it's for everything. Okay, so an applicant tracking system will use similar things that I showed you on the Pnet platform to look for you. Okay.
Yeah. And I guess also the fact that you've included those the SEO words, the search engine optimized words, that would also then make it suitable for any platform or ATS to pick up the skills, for example, or the keywords that recruiters are looking for. Okay.
Exactly. And it's just like my client that said, I've dealt in HR systems, and she just didn't write the word SAP, and someone puts in the word SAP. Do you understand? So let's have a look. Matilda, your CV is nearly done.
What do I do with a gap of 3 years, Roxanne? There's a specifically to go and study. I did my honours and my master's in the 3 years.
I went to study. So in that 3-year gap, you'll go between 2013 and 2016. I don't know. I was studying. Okay. And yeah, is your CV, core competencies and skills, your professional experience, academic qualifications, professional development, key achievements, successfully managed large complex mixed-use property portfolio for a major South African university. You didn't tell me any of that. Look how it's selling you. Holds a rare combination of postgraduate academic credentials and hands-on commercial property management experience. Proactively upskilling in artificial intelligence.
But now I'm not looking for that anymore.
So then define that. Then we're just
that
define
industry.
That. Okay, so then to say, I would like to work in there, and then tell it. Make the CV searchable for, I don't know, the banking sector, or I want to work in marketing, or I want to work in, do you hear?
Okay.
So guys, exactly what you're asking me or telling me, you can tell your AI. Oh, but I don't like this. Can you change this? I want you to add more of this. My dream job would be this. Make the perfect CV for this role. You can tell it all of those things. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matilda, for being a willing volunteer. Roxanne, would you be able to just share your screen again? I just want to point something out that I've noticed in the chat.
Yes.
Just to highlight that, I don't know if all of you noticed, but the document that was generated on the right-hand side is a Word document. There's also a download button that I see there at the top. So you can, of course, download this document. You can open up in Word or even in Google Drive, for example, and you are then able to further edit the CV or make, different CVs highlighting different skills and etc.
It even gave you, what's very important here is a job title. Do you see that? So you could say the job title and graduate if you need to in one word, but then it will help you to pick up these particular jobs as well. It's giving you a job title. So this would have, not even 5 years ago, for a professional CV writer to write this out for you would have cost you 3,500 Rand, and now we can do it all for mahala.
Okay, let me hear. I see some more hands. Roxanne, are we able to go over to other people to ask questions?
Sure.
Okay,
I just want to answer one. Sorry, I just see one here that I think is important. So it says, can you show us a CV format that is most preferred by recruiters, and how long should a CV be? I'd like to say, imagine you're a recruiter sitting through 120 CVs a day. How would you want the CV to look like? So number one, I also saw that photos were a thing. Personally, I think that photos are not always uploadable to some ATS systems. And then also I think it does give you a bit of a disadvantage because people look at how you look and not what's on your CV. It doesn't matter the format. I think what matters is how easy it is to read, right? So I know you always put your most recent job at the top, but I think what's more important is not even how it looks. It's what words you have on there so that ATS systems can pick you up. Okay. Did I miss anything else? Any other questions?
I'm going to ask, I see there are some hands. Darren Chowki, your hand is up. I'm not sure. It's been up for some time. Do you still want to ask a question? Darren? not, I'm going to go over. Sorry, I can only see the surname on the screen, and Tlabati. You're welcome to unmute and ask your question. Okay, then we've got Nokubunga Dlamini. You're welcome to unmute and ask your question. Okay, not. Mokgadi Mohale, you're welcome to unmute. Okay, and then we've got Lwazi Chagi. You're welcome to unmute and ask your question. Or then Kim.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Ms. Clark, could you please, yesterday we had another, what's this called? Masterclass. I'm just going to say a masterclass, you know, and then they told us that there's no need for us to add our references. But in one of the CVs that you used here, there was references. So on Pnet, do we have to use those references or we should just keep them out?
I would say if I was a recruiter and I wanted to do a reference check on you, and then I still had to now go and find your references after the fact that I've had a long day of looking over 120 CVs, that would possibly annoy me. So I would rather say add your references. You do not have to. Some people say references on request. I, however, would always prefer to have a reference there. The person, where they work, what their position is, and their number.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's go over to Nkobonga. You're welcome to go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good, in yourself. You can go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. I'm visually impaired and I am currently in my third year doing BA in computation science. And I don't have much work experience, but I do have some. And now I would like to understand, like now, since I'm going to be applying to get into the industry of communication, I wonder if I should mention that I'm visually impaired and my eyesight is deteriorating. So I don't know, will it disadvantage me if I mention that I'm visually impaired on my CV, or I shouldn't even mention it?
Sorry, that line is very bad.
Roxanne, she's asking that if you have, in her case, a visual disability, should you list it on your profile or on your CV, or is it something that is discussed further along the line?
Sorry, guys, I don't know if it's just me. I'm struggling to hear. Can you just repeat it one more time?
The question is about listing of any disabilities on your CV or in a cover letter or on your profile. So should you be listing those disabilities?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I did the registration process, guys, remember I showed you the disability where you go and load your disability. Please do use that button to load it there and list it in your CV.
Okay. Just a follow-up question around that. You know, I'm just considering now, as you said, the recruiter. Would it be not acceptable, but would it be a good strategy to use is that even, for example, if you are visually disabled, to also then mention what technologies or what processes you've got in place to help you manage and, you know, to still be able to, you know, do the position that you're applying to, or do you just list, you know, I have a visual disability, for example?
I think that if it's job dependent, so for example, I cannot have a vision disability if I'm going to apply to be a truck driver, right? So you got to relative to what the role is. If you have a tool to do the job, that makes your disability not a deterrent for the recruiter, then please mention those tools that you are using. Absolutely. But if you don't need it on the CV, I always say rather have it than don't have it, right?
Okay, sure. Then let's, we stopped with Lwazi.
Yes.
Do you still want to ask a question?
I've got it here, running your own business.
Okay.
So there's a gap in the CV. You have to provide reasons for the gaps. Absolutely. You need to say that you ran your own business, because they are going to ask you what happened in that period, right? So you do absolutely have to make sure that those gaps are covered.
Yeah, and just to add to that, sorry, Rox, I'm jumping in. You always want to give the recruiter the information before they have to think about it for themselves, because they will make up something in their head as to why there's a gap. Rather explain your gap. And if your gap is not a nice thing, I mean, you're entering the world of work, so it's probably not relevant. But for example, if you were retrenched and or you were let go for some reason, never leave a gap as a question mark for a recruiter. Always explain, and retrenchments happen, that's absolutely fine, but you need to demonstrate what you were doing during that gap. Were you upskilling? Were you taking time to focus on something, in your personal capacity, etc.? Rather give the recruiter the answer than let them think of the worst case scenario.
Cool.
Thank you. Lwazi, are you still with us? Do you want to ask a question? Otherwise, we can go over to Khadisha Malaki.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good, and yourself? You can go ahead.
I'm good. I want to make a follow-up on this one of running a business. Okay, if ever maybe the business is not related to the course that I'm currently studying, but then I've been running the business, and also I've got several certificates regarding the operation of the business, and also some achievements in the business. Must I mention them on my CV?
Yes. Sorry, you saying something within the business?
Maybe some of the achievements in the business.
If you do it on AI and you ask the prompt, tell me, it will do the achievements, absolutely, but please prompt it. So like for Matilda, it automatically said the biggest university in South Africa, so I did tell it to sell her. So use the prompt I gave you and it should do that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, Khadisha. Let's ask Brandon. You're welcome to go ahead. Brandon, do you still want to ask a question? Okay, it's not there.
Yes, sorry.
I was
you're there. Looking for the button. I just wanted to find out in terms of like the in terms of the gap in your resume. CV. Like, where exactly do you place it on the CV? Is it in your work experience section? Because like usually you might say, oh, I was working from 2020 to 2021 as this, and then your next full-time job is probably like 2022, and then maybe the gap was in between, say, 2020 and 2022. Where exactly do you explain to the recruiter that, hey, there was a gap in this, in the CV, and I did this?
So on ChatGPT, you're going to say, in 2010 to 2011, I worked here. From 2011 to 2015, I worked here. From 2015 to 2020, I did this. From 2020 to 2026, I did this, right? So you're going to go in the flow of order of exactly how your career pathed out.
Okay.
And if you put it into any of the Claude, Grok, ChatGPT, any of those AI tools, exactly how I said, it will build it for you.
Oh, it's gonna work around, you know, what you provided it.
Exactly. And if you
Okay,
see,
thank you.
oops, I made a mistake, it's left out 2024 to 2026, you can go back and say, I forgot 2024 to 2026. Please add this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And just one last thing,
Sure.
in terms of like work experience, say if you have like say 5 years of work experience, right? Should you show those 5 years of work experience in your CV? Because we're worried that it might be too long.
So sorry, my line is really breaking up badly. You said something is too long, 5 years?
Like say you have 5 years of work experience, right?
Yeah.
And should you show exactly 5 years of work experience, but say sometimes your CV might be too long in that case, what happens then?
So I'm still not understanding. So you would list your 5 years experience, but if you've got more experience, you need to add your experience.
No, I'm saying if the job calls for 5 years of work experience, right?
Yeah.
In the first place,
Yeah.
should you show exactly 5 years of work experience when, say, you might have like 4 years relevant to that specific company's field?
You got 4 years experience and they're asking for 5. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, like in total, you have 5 years of work experience, but only 4 relevant years of work experience.
Well, it depends what that company wants, Brandon. I can't answer that. If every company is different, sometimes they'll say a total of 5 years, or they want 4 years experience in that role. So you just need to make sure that your details are 100% correct and that it is aligning. If you've got 4 years total work experience and they want 5 years total work experience and you don't have it, then not much we can do. If they want 5 years in that field and you've only got 2, then maybe don't apply for the role. Do you understand?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm answered. Thank you.
Got it.
Roxanne, while we are on that question, I just wanted to also ask about, you read a job spec, for example, advertisement on Pnet or wherever on LinkedIn, and it's a role that you're really interested in, but maybe there are 2 or 3 of the requirements that you don't meet 100%. Would you still encourage somebody to apply, or in your opinion, what would be the best approach there?
Yes, absolutely, you apply, because even if you're maybe not good for that role, maybe you will be good for another role, and then you are in that company's talent pool and database.
We generally work on a 70%. So if you meet 70% of the criteria, then apply. Anything below that, because the rest is going to be soft skills or on-the-job training or whatever it is. If you are less than 70% of a match, chances are your CV is not going to be interrogated by the recruiter. So in that case, you're probably wasting their time and wasting your time. So a 70% match is kind of what we say is the sweet spot. 70% or more, obviously.
Okay. There's also a question here about, I'll just read out the question. I was a class rep for 3 modules during my undergrad at a different university, but didn't receive certificates or evidence or proof, that I've been a class rep. Since I don't have this official proof, should I still include this experience on my CV?
Yes.
Okay. So it's what I'm thinking about is that when we spoke about, or when Roxanne mentioned the listing your experience, it's not that you necessarily have to have specific evidence for that experience, because remember, you are negotiating with referees that you've chosen to comment on your job performance or your, work ethic and so forth. So even that experience of being a class rep, it's still valid, although you didn't have any certificates. So it's important to distinguish between you are just telling the story of, this is my job roles that I've had or other opportunities that I've made use of, versus then, having evidence or having a referee that can comment on that. Michelle, I saw your hand was up. Did you also want to add something?
But yes, sorry, I just started adding another comment. So what were you responding to there?
It was about the not having evidence for being a class rep.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I wanted to say was that, remember, the objective of your CV is to get noticed well enough that they want to interview you. And then in your interview, you've got an opportunity to elaborate. So even when you look at the question that was posed to Roxanne earlier around the length of your CV, you want to tell somebody enough to get onto their radar and get an opportunity to sit in front of them and talk to them. So explaining gaps, all of that, do as much as you can using your profile and your CV, and then the rest of it is all up to what you're going to talk about when you're given that interview.
Yeah, and also I think there's a lot of anxiety around whether the CV that you are putting together is the right format, it's got the right information and so forth. So I'm hoping that if you did, listen to Roxanne also illustrating today how to use AI, for example, and also the comments in the chat, that it's not that much important in terms of what the CV looks like, as long as it illustrates all the information that you need to share with the recruiters or with the company. But more important than that, that you are making the life of the person easier who is screening your CV, since they need to work through quite a lot of CVs. So I'm going to post the links to the different AIs that you can try out. There might be others that you have been trying. It's also important to note that all of these AIs, they've got subtle differences in terms of how they work. So, for example, Roxanne showed us an example of Claude. It gave a Word document. It might be that if you use ChatGPT or Google Gemini, it will give you something else. So you are also free to, kind of play around with the different AI platforms to see what the difference might be between, what the output is that you can get. I also just want to note that there are 2 hands up again. I just want to check, are they historic hands or are they questions? The surname is Ntlabati. And then also Nokobonga again. Maybe they're just historic hands. Okay. Roxanne, there was also a question now here about with the short courses, do you also list them as qualifications or as certificates that you've completed? And I guess also with short courses, what goes along with that would be any online courses that you might have completed. Would that also be relevant to include in your profile and or your CV?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What if somebody puts in a word on one of their certificates that they're looking for that specific thing?
The one question that I wanted to ask is, I'm sorry if I missed it, but if you are thinking about, which words to put on your CV, of course, you've now illustrated, using AI. How would you know what to include on your CV that would be relevant for recruiters or for the person that's reviewing your CV?
We don't. That's why we're using AI.
Okay.
We don't. A recruiter, like I said to you, they can put absolutely anything. It's so difficult. So we try and use AI to elaborate as many words as possible that you have already done or do. So the more information you can add, the better. that you feel can sell your role. Mish?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that a good idea is to always go and research what other job specs that recruiters have already put together for the job that you're interested in. So go and search, Pnet, go and look at other online recruitment platforms, look at the skills, the qualifications, the words, the criteria, all of that recruiters are asking for the roles that you want. And use that as your starting point, because that'll indicate the kind of skills that they're interested in for that role. Whether a lot of questions that have come up in the chat, do my academic marks count? How much should I be explaining around my education or short skills? So go and look at existing job specs. Salary as well. There were a few questions around salary. Go and research based on what's already out there and what recruiters are looking for. And then you will know how to craft your profile and your CV authentically and honestly, obviously, to fit what you're looking for in terms of the particular sector that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Then also the question around, there was now this example, from the recruiter's view about the salary issue.
Yes.
So I guess it's quite important for you to be able to do some benchmarking or research at least, and to be realistic in terms of, this type of position, this organization, this industry, this geographic location. What is the salary range that one could, be realistic in terms of putting on your profile then? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, it gives you ranges. So you're not going to be completely regretted if you put in 15,000 Rand a month. There are ranges that you can work with, but what recruiters don't want is their budget is 1 million per annum and somebody's on 2 million. Do you understand?
Yeah. Okay, and there's a question here. I'm not sure if in your experience or Pnet itself, do you have any personalized guidance that you can provide to job seekers in terms of CV writing? So, for example, if they send a CV that it be reviewed, or what would you suggest for somebody who would need their CV to be reviewed by somebody else?
Reviewed in what way? I'm not sure I understand. So who would be reviewing the CV?
I think it's CV writers, Rox. I mean, that's not something that Pnet is involved in. We don't work with job seekers on creating their CVs necessarily. But there are plenty, if you Google, there are plenty of businesses that do CV writing and CV crafting for job seekers.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Also, on that note, you are welcome to send your CV in an email to our counselling email address that I will share with you shortly. It's not about, remember, if you ask somebody to give you feedback on your CV, for example, there's no way that that person could guarantee, that this is the right CV to use for the different positions that you want to apply to. But there might be kind of obvious improvements that you are able to make that we would be able to assist you with. And then, of course, using the process that Roxanne illustrated with AI would also help you to, move closer to a CV that can really sell you in terms of, for example, being invited to interviews. Okay, let me just check. We're almost at the end of our session, so I just want to check if there are any questions that we might have left out. There's an interesting question here about, designing a CV that is ATS friendly, but it also demonstrates real problem-solving ability, especially for technical fields like mathematics or data science. So I guess the bigger question is, does your CV really have that job?
Yeah, I did respond to that one further
Oh,
down,
you did?
Lisa. Yeah,
Okay.
my response, and Roxanne can weigh in. My response is that the role of your CV is not to demonstrate that you have problem-solving abilities. That'll come in your interview. The role of your CV is to say that you can do this, and to either answer the job spec or indicate what skills you possess and what technical skills you can bring to the role. You can't demonstrate that in a CV. That can only be demonstrated in the interview process.
Yeah. So no recruiter really cares about these days. I don't know if you guys remember, we would say, my hobbies are long walks on the beach and I like playing soccer on Saturdays. So no one really wants that on CVs anymore. It's really not necessary. I work well with others. Those things are not relevant. We want the experience, we want the skill, we want the match to the job spec.
Am I right in saying that, especially with the soft skills, those would normally be things, either the recruiter would kind of deduce it from your work experience or how you've interacted with them throughout the process, and then, of course, also during interviews, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be able to pick that up from, as you said, from your demeanor, how well you've prepped for that interview, how comfortable you are. Yeah, they'll be able to pick that up from the engagement, specifically in an interview process.
Okay. So it's now 1:26. I think, let me just make a couple of announcements. If there are some questions that we missed out on, like I did yesterday, I will go back to the chat and just see, which questions were missed. I'll also answer them, and we will also, or there will automatically be a link to the recording of this session later this afternoon in Teams. So if you go to your chats and Teams for this meeting, you'll be able to see the recording link, so you can go and watch it again. And we will also share an edited recording on our YouTube channel for you to go and watch if you didn't manage to attend the whole session. So Michelle has already shared the link to the Pnet grad pack. We would really encourage you to go and take a look. There's a lot of valuable information in that grad pack, as well as on their website, together with the other links that Michelle shared related to the public service announcements series that they make available. Sorry, somebody's microphone is on. I am just going to mute everybody. Or if you can mute yourself, that would be helpful. Another digital brochure that you can consider to go and download is called Grad Next. It's also got similar topics such as, interview preparation, how to look for jobs, also more information about CVs and cover letters. It's also available free of charge, and we've provided you the link as well as the QR code to go and access the book. Tomorrow we are hosting a session about teaching English in China. I know that there are some of you that have even emailed me. Our event registrations got filled up quite quickly, so it might be that you would want to attend, but you're not able to register anymore. I will post a link for you to join the session tomorrow if you would like to join us. It will also be from 12 to 1:30. And then next week, we have a session on Thursday about building your career from your first year of study. That is especially focused on our first year students, but the content that will be shared will definitely be relevant for anyone, and also for you to be able to share with others. For further information, you're welcome to send either myself or Mrs. Makanya an email. Our email addresses are there on the screen. If you have any ideas for topics or things that you would want us to talk about in our future events, you're welcome to share those ideas with us so that we can accommodate what it is that you need. And then our support from Counselling and Career Development. I will also share this in the chat, but you can send us an email, you can book an online appointment, you could contact a counsellor at any of the Unisa regional offices if you prefer to go and speak to somebody in person. And then on our website, as well as on our YouTube channel, there are many self-help resources that you can also use, not only for your career development and preparing for opportunities, but also for academic development and personal development, as well as mental health. So on that note, I am going to ask my colleague, Mr. Beki Mzobe, if you could please just end off the session for us. Thank you, Beki.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. As we wrap up our career talk, I would like to share a few words of appreciation on behalf of the Unisa Directorate, Counselling and Career Development. A big thank you to Ms. Makanya for introducing our speaker, and a special thank you to our guest speaker, Ms. Roseanne Clark and Michelle Dobson from Pnet for such a practical and insightful presentation. The demonstration on how to use Pnet system and other platforms, the tips on how to improve our CVs, especially for recruiters and those tricky applicant tracking systems, were incredibly useful. We really appreciate the time and expertise you shared with us today. Thank you also to Lisa for guiding the Q&A and helping us get even more clarity during the discussions. And to all our students who joined in, thank you for your participation and the great questions. We hope you are living with ideas you can put into action right away. We appreciate you all, and we look forward to seeing you at our next online events. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you again from my side to Roxanne, as well as to Michelle, and also to my colleague, Mrs. Makanya. And most importantly, we are very glad that you chose to spend an hour and a half